Yeah, I think that, I'd be curious to talk to some of these people. Get like a Larry Fink in the studio.
Yeah.
And see if for 3 hours they could try to be a real person. I know like Joe Rogan's talk with some of these guys who you would maybe put in that category, not to like throw shade at all of them, but you know who I'm talking about, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Mark Andreessens, the people who are these nouveau billionaires and everything. And they do come across, like when you listen to it, as like fairly normal or trying to do the right thing, obviously fucking it up sometimes. But the cynic in me goes, maybe they're smart enough that even sitting there for a kind of live back and forth conversation with a popular podcaster like Joe Rogan, they can put on a front and they can make people believe that, yeah, we really want the best for you. And in reality, they don't.
Yeah, I don't know about those specific examples, but throughout these years, what I've learned talking to like these people and talking to people that know these people is usually they're not what they seem to be.
Yeah.
How they present themselves in the public.
Who are the types of people, without revealing sources and everything, who are the types of people you talk to, and how do you get access to people who are around those people?
My channel attracts a very strange audience. So a lot of very interesting people reach out. That's part of the reason why I love my channel. I've met some really interesting people just through my channel. So I don't want to reveal like sources or whatever because it's pretty easy to deduce who I'm talking about and stuff.
That's got to be interesting though, that a kid making a YouTube channel and doing a little research and making it entertaining has people who are at least around power reaching out and saying, hey, you're in the right direction.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Do they push back sometimes though too and try to tell you you're not?
Let me think of an example. Maybe there's some examples, but nothing comes to mind right now.
So usually it's like them saying pretty good.
Yeah.
Damn. It's a crazy world out there, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you keep talking about the few families that used to run things, and it does seem like today, even though we have that wealth gap and everything in a smaller wealthy class, the average net worth of the wealthy class of, say, the top 0.1% is way higher than it used to be. So there's a lot more of these families. Mm-hmm. Like you might think the Medicis, the Rothschilds and stuff like that in the past, the Astors, right? And now I could probably start whipping off 150 that come to mind.
Yeah.
They're running. So do you think it's like the kind of thing where they go to some like fraternity meeting and wear a bunch of masks and fuck each other and say we're running the world together? Or do you think it's more like this unspoken, here's how it's going to go?
Yeah. I usually don't think it's like some typical generic conspiracy thing like people think. I think it's usually just a lot of powerful people with similar incentives that lead them to do similar things that benefit each other.
Similar incentives that do similar things that benefit each other. Yeah, because, I mean, especially if you look at like the family office and private equity ends of it I brought up a little bit ago, those types of forces often intermingle money together, right? Mm-hmm. So they may do it within public companies like this or in private bids for things that we don't hear about. And so even if these people aren't actually communicating, they have the same incentive structure for, I'm just making something up right here, some shitty for other people industry like, I don't know, the food industry to do well, meaning we're going to continue putting cheap processed shit into the food because it's going to make us more money. So they're not sitting here like actually saying we're going to put poison in this, but the end result is they poison people. Yeah,
like the food industry has their incentive to make the most profitable food possible that tastes the most addicting and lasts as long as possible on the shelf. In order to do that, they have to put a bunch of artificial stuff in it that gives us cancer and stuff. And the benefit of that is that it makes people more sick, which makes them go to the big pharma industry. So I'm not sure. Maybe there is people like colluding between food and big pharma or whatever other example you want to make. But that's a good example of like just similar incentives that happen to benefit both of them.
Yeah, and you've made a whole separate channel on this now. That's really good. Can we pull that up, Alessi? Just so people can see this. So you're digging into the whole health crisis. You've been doing this for a while too.
Yeah, and the reason I started this channel was just for like my own personal benefit because I was getting into alternative health and learning about how screwed up the food and everything else in contact with us is in America. So part of this was my own personal desire just to because if you want to accomplish a lot of stuff, you have to have energy. And what I mean by energy is you literally just can't be sluggish throughout the day.
Yep.
And to do that, you really have to focus on your health and stuff. So I was getting into this for myself, and I just saw a really big gap that there was no premium documentary channel making videos about this. So I made Evil Food Supply. I think we hit like 100K subs in around 3 months.
Yeah.
Just because there's a giant need for this, and this was right as this trend of like alternative health was picking up. Now it's like really popular.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Robert F. Kennedy wave came in and everyone's like talking about it. You see the Callie Meanses of the world coming onto the scene. But like, it shouldn't have taken this long.
Yeah. It's pretty weird that it took this long.
Yes. They've been putting this shit in food forever.
Yeah.
You look at the ingredients. Like when you're reading something that's like, I'm making up a word right now, but phosphate caloric 5 or whatever the fuck. Like there's no way that that's good for you. It's a chemical. It's a preservative. And yet we've normalized this stuff to the point that, you know, things that used to be like, oh, you could treat yourself with McDonald's 50 years ago and, you know, it's not good for you, but like you're going to be okay versus now where instead of, I guess, like beef tallow back then, now they use fucking seed oils everywhere. And we wonder why we're all poisoned.
Yeah, and like you've seen the pictures of like McDonald's hamburgers lasting for like 50 years.
Yes.
Or
That's
something
insane.
crazy like that. Yeah. There's no way that's good for you. And it's pretty interesting because I remember like before I learned all of this, I also thought, you know, processed food is probably okay. It can't be that bad for you.
How did you eat growing up? Like what were your parents' nutritional standards like?
A mix of Vietnamese food, like home cooked Vietnamese food, and just like processed stuff. Like the typical cheap stuff you buy as like a poor family, like Pop-Tarts and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we all had that stuff at some point. And my mom was even a nutritionist, and once in a while, some of that stuff would make the way to the household. But I think I had it really good compared to everyone else. But like, did you talk about you being interested in having energy to do what you do for self-improvement and things like that. But did you like suddenly notice that like, oh my God, like I'm sluggish when I eat this, or I have a problem when I do that, or I have this little health knack right here that might be caused by what I'm putting in my body? And then when you made changes, did those things reverse?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I originally like stumbled upon this little thing, but the biggest change I saw was definitely cutting out processed food. You just feel way more awake, and like, you know, this is how life should be.
Yeah.
Once you cut that stuff out, so I think that's definitely step one for everyone. I think the next step is getting your hormones and micronutrients tested, because things like testosterone or all the other hormones, these are like building blocks that dictate all the important functions in your body, like whether your cells keep fat or expel more fat than it keeps. All that's dictated by hormones, and most people don't really even know about their hormone levels, even though they're just that important. So getting my hormones levels tested and my micronutrient levels tested, like vitamins and minerals, because the vitamins and minerals are what build hormones. And because of how depleted, like nutrient depleted our food is today, most people are deficient in something. I believe the number is like 90% of people are deficient in something or like multiple vitamins and minerals. And you wouldn't know that unless you test it. So me getting like a blood, saliva, hair sample test, and then just eating more of that stuff that I'm missing, just that alone makes everything easier. You have more energy. When you go to the gym, you actually get more progress.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed it more than ever over the past year plus, because I had like all kinds of health problems, and I would start getting them fixed with some things that the doctor don't need to go into all that. But that started to improve, and all the while I was also focusing more on what I put in my body and doing more research on that. And so I started eating very clean over the past year, and I immediately noticed my energy levels went up. I immediately noticed that like my skin came back. And the craziest part is that whenever I'm not at home, which, you know, that we're like everyone else, you go out and sometimes you got to go eat on the road and things. I'll go look at, you know, just pull up a normal restaurant to try to get food at, or, you know, whether we're sitting down or I'm trying to order Uber Eats, and fucking everything on there is a bad option in some way. Like it's literally baked in to have something processed. And I know the next morning when I wake up, my morning is going to be a little longer and a little groggier because of that.
Yeah. And on top of that, even if it's like seemingly healthy thing at a restaurant, they're probably using like cheap stuff, like seed oils and whatever.
Because they're also business incentivized to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the problem. Bad food costs very little. Good food costs a lot. How do we change that?
Yeah, just definitely just cutting out processed stuff. And there are a lot of videos online showing how you can eat pretty healthy for not that much money, just by knowing what to buy at a grocery store. So people can definitely look that up.
I'll have to look that up because I can't say I've watched any of those videos or read up on that much, but I look at it through just doing research of like what I can buy and going to the store, looking on Amazon grocery and everything. But like when I go to buy things that are of the earth, they invariably cost more than the shit that's not.
Yeah.
And part of the reason we have the processed foods, and maybe this is the less sinister way it happens, is because it is a cost cutter. Because you can use that, food can last way longer, you can sell more of it, produce more of it. I mean, it's just economics.
Yeah.
So how do we change that if we don't literally legislate away, which I'm not against this at all, literally though at the government level, legislate away the ability to use any of that stuff, in which case there will be also a mass incentives-based exodus from the food market, the people who provide the food for people to fucking survive, because there will not be the same money or margins in it.
I'm not absolutely sure. I'm open to legislation. I'm also, the reason why I make this channel is if all of us just make better choices, and vote with our wallet, it will just force the companies to make healthier choices for less money.
What do you think of RFK potentially coming in there? We're recording on the day where I think we're going to find out if he's confirmed or not. But
I love it.
You love that.
Yeah, I love it. And I hope he gets a lot of work done. It's going to be hard to make a lot of progress in just 4 years because the government moves very slow. But but I hope he makes a lot of progress.
Yeah, I mean, what's wild to me though is that there's such a massive pushback against him, and then you'll look at like previous candidates for the same role. They're voting, 90-10 for him, and they don't do shit.
Yeah.
They don't question any narratives. You literally had Elizabeth Warren saying to this guy in the hearing, like trying to get him to commit to not being allowed to sue pharma companies. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
How is she still around, man?
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you hear yourself? You're trying to protect these people?
Yeah.
That's what, and again, it comes back to the money that's flown to their pockets. But when people, I don't know what's going so wrong in society that, based on the two-party system, in this case, it's Elizabeth Warren on one side, so she's going to have her supporters. Automatically, 50% of the country is going to be like, yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and
thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.